We are on the internet. We are getting records. We are getting things delivered to our door. We are not having to leave the house. We are on the internet. We are on the internet. Okay, it says here, we're online. We're online. Hey, my name is Neil Patterson. I'm a guy who's experiencing emotions. Just like the Mariah Carey song that you heard back in the 90s, except I can't hit those high notes. I can't shatter glass with my voice. Well, some people think I can, but I haven't tried it yet. And today we're doing a SUPcast. SUPcast is my podcast that I started in my van last year. About a year ago, we started doing this thing where I talk a lot in a van. And then COVID happened, and now we're doing it through Zoom. So I have today as our guest, and I say our meaning my, but I like saying our. I like being, hey, I like having it be like a collective thing, even though I'm just a dude. I say our because I don't know. I feel like it's a collective thing. But we have Anthony Mehlhaff, who goes by the AKA Beta Hal 9000, who's a LA-based photographer and a music enthusiast. And I've also watched this dude like lay out 9 people in the pit who are unsuspecting at the Mr. Bungle show. Just a fucking intense dude who has intense thoughts and intense feelings about intense things. And this motherfucker loves music, and we're going to talk about music, and we're going to talk about photography, and we're going to talk about the scene, and we're going to talk about maybe a little politics, maybe a little COVID. And yeah, I'm having a rough time right now. I'm looking around, and I'm affected. I'm affected by everything that's going on. And, I wish I could just live in a bubble where I didn't go on the internet and where I didn't see all the heinous shit that was going on. But I don't. I go on my phone. I go on the internet when I wake up in the morning. Even, I do all the shit my therapist tells me to do. But then I go online, and I suck it all in. And I just end up feeling like shit. So what do? Do I disconnect? Do I just not go online anymore? But all the work I do is online. Everything I do is online. So it's a conundrum. What do? Do you disconnect? Do you just not pay any attention, or do you pay attention and let it affect you and take it in? What do? I don't know. But anyway, we got Anthony here. We got Beta Hal 9000 here. And he's waiting in the waiting room, which is just a virtual waiting room because we're on Zoom. And gosh darn it, this is SUPcast. I'm going to run this intro real quick because why the fuck not? Let's roll those credits, baby. Yeah. Damn, oh damn, and damn, and damn, damn, damn. So we're going to go to the waiting room where we have Anthony waiting for us. And we're going to start a conversation about life, about things. Let's do it. I got you, bro. I have Anthony.
Hey!
Hey, man.
Can you hear me? I'm unmuted.
Yeah, I can hear you just perfectly great.
Let me tell you something. Neil has the best green room, the best digital green room. Ice cold drinks. This guy, ice cold coffee from this guy. I'll tell you what. If you're gonna be on a podcast, you got to go on SUPcast. What's up, motherfucker?
Oh, just dealing with life, making content. I'm in this bunker with my girlfriend and my cat, and
cool.
I pretty much live on the internet. But living on the internet also has negative side effects. I'm coming to find out because the world is literally on fire. California is literally on fire right now. So. Yeah, my hands are a little shaky. I'm over caffeinated. I'm stressed out. I was angry earlier. I actually yelled a little bit. Yeah, crack that shit. And,
I'm gonna be over caffeinated.
Yeah, get it.
So the fire thing is, I feel kind of like an asshole because whenever there's a fire, I'm always really excited about it because I'm usually not in the fire zone, and I'm always like, oh shit, we should go shoot a music video, bro. And I got this new band, Cancer Christ, and everything is about religion,
fire.
Iconography, hell on earth, apocalypse, people dying, plague. And it's like, what? This is the best time to be alive in a band called Cancer Christ.
Yeah, I mean, you could get a lot of apocalyptic footage.
Yeah, but you feel bad. You feel bad because you're like, that's somebody's fucking house. There could be a little 8-year-old. I have an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
That could be Tony Metcalf's house. That's an alternate dimension of Anthony Mehlhaff is Tony Metcalf. He's probably burned alive in that house. So it's this thing where I try to disconnect humans from human destruction. I'm always like, oh yeah, let's go to the fire. But then I'm like, oof.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are pro-apocalypse. They're like, let it happen. Sweet relief. I'm fucking
Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're like, I'm ready. I've had enough of this. But then it's like you see it kind of start to happen and you get real worried. At least I do, because there's a part of me that's like, yeah, let the apocalypse happen. But then there's a part of me that's like, but I love my mom and I love her dogs and I love my girlfriend and I'm scared. I want everyone to survive this. But there's a part of me that's like, fuck it. This is terrible. Let's just.
There's probably a few people that you're like, oh, fuck them, right? There's a lot of people, and I know you might get a little shit from this, but I am at the point where I'm just like, there are a lot of fucking people, especially in politics, that it's like, where are all these fucking assassins? Where are all these crazy people shooting the president anymore? We had a trend of that. Let's bring that back. Not at schools, but let's bring back the tradition, the American tradition
of assassination,
trying to kill the president and succeeding, especially right now.
I wonder.
Right now is a great time.
Yeah, I wonder if this is gonna get flagged like right off the bat for you saying that.
Hey, that's okay. That's fine.
They're like,
how about I say hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
But you can't hypothetically pull a Reagan, because that only made him stronger.
What's weird is that Trump is such a divisive character, and like it seems like no one's tried to take him out. Either he has like really good security, or like, I mean, because
people are afraid. You don't think people are afraid now?
I'm afraid.
They see what happens when you're peacefully protesting. They see what happens when you hold up a goddamn sign, or you tell a cop, "Hey, fuck you." I mean, I grew up. That was my vitamins. My vitamins were to say "fuck you" to any authority at all. It's held me back in some spots, but it's also made me not fucking, do bad things to people. And I just think now, try saying fuck you to a cop now. They're going to bash your brains in. And they don't even care if there's like 12 people recording.
Yeah, because...
And it's getting to the point where even this little, milky skin boy here, they're going to bash the crap out of me too. So it's getting to, so at least we have equality in that aspect.
Yay.
When the cops are going to bash your head in if you disagree with them.
Yay. Well, dude, I just remember I was always on tour for like, the last 12 years with my band, and we got pulled over so many times. And, I have a lot of friends that mouth off to cops, but me, dude, I kiss their fucking ass because I want to stay on the tour. And we got popped in Utah.
It just happened to some of the wacko kids, and I was just there. I have family in southern Utah.
Oh, wow.
I'll let you finish your story, but they got busted too. So
yeah, dude, I got a possession ticket for having CBD edibles that were 0.5 milligrams of THC per serving. So I got a $750 possession ticket for having 0.5 milligrams of THC. And
how recent?
This was in 2018, and I told the cop, I was like, dude, there's like barely. This doesn't even get me high. This is because I have back pain. And he's like,
what a dickhead.
And
he probably takes it too.
He points at the package, and he's like, it says THC as he wrote me out the ticket. And yeah, $750 just might as well have lit it on fire, dude. Good time.
Did you ever? Whoa, I had a burp talk.
That happens.
I was like Rick.
For a
second there.
It happens.
Did you ever pay that ticket?
Yeah.
Oh,
because
right.
Because this is the thing.
Because of warrants.
Well, I want the ability to travel in any of the continental United States, like in case, like let's say, touring comes back and I want to play a gig in Utah. I don't want to be driving because those highways that connect.
They're shorter through Utah.
Well, they connect Nevada to Colorado, and you kind of have to go through Utah if you want to get to Colorado, unless you want to like add a bunch of time to it. The way I look at it is like if I pay the ticket, then I could drive through fucking Utah and not be driving dirty and play the gig. I mean, if gigs even come
dirty, bro.
If gigs even come back, I don't know what the fuck is happening. Anyway,
you know what? That's a good point for all you young viewers that are saying, fuck this, fuck that. I live in Culver City, and right down the street they have a one of those ticket flashlight things. And I was like, they take a picture, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna fucking pay this. Fuck this shit. And sure enough, it just kept going. And I finally had to go in there, and they're like, nah, bro, this is like $1,200. I'm all, you're fucking tripping. I'll pay you the $95.
Late fees.
And it turned out they ended up giving me more community service than they were giving people that were like exposing themselves, because I had to sit in court. I had to go to court and try to fight it. And man, another thing, anyways, there were people that were DUIing and getting less time community service, people that were exposing themselves at parks getting less time than I am. This just goes to show you that it's a money racket, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so anyways, I finally just was like, I'll take the community service. I'm not going to fucking pay you a dime. They gave me something like 120 hours. It was a ridiculous amount of community service. I went in there and just every day busted my ass and was pissed even more. I was just like, this is all bullshit. But
that's crazy that they gave you community service on top of paying.
Well, I wanted community service, so I didn't have to pay them. For me, it was like, I'm not going to pay you a goddamn dime if it's going to be this much.
Wow.
So that's why it ended up being so much community service. But for the kids, let me tell you, on the second half of that note, fight everything you can as long as you can, because the courts don't have the time or resources to fight shit. Why do you think the first thing they do is they give you a plea bargain? And I learned this as a fucking 16-year-old kid. They'll give you a plea bargain right out the gate, and it seems a lot better. If you fight them for long enough, usually they'll give up. Unless you got a lot of heat and it's very good television and they can make money, then you're fucked. Then you might as well take the plea bargain.
I didn't fight. I just pled no contest with the ticket that I got in Utah because, dude, I'm not going to hire a lawyer in Utah. I'm not going to go to Utah. I'm just like, I'll just fucking pay the ticket.
Utah's nice. Yeah. You should go to Utah, but not
it is nice.
To fight a ticket.
It is nice, but it's also religiously oppressive, and, you're driving.
It's flipping. I've been going to southern Utah.
Okay.
And
it's beautiful.
Utah, for now, because my wife her mother-in-law lives there for 15, 16 years, and I've seen the epic change. Oh, hi, how you doing there?
This is Allie. Allie.
I know Allie. Hi, Allie. Good to see you. And anyways, I've seen this monumental change because youth, the people have so many kids there, and people are running from the Mormon church in droves, and people are leaving, Colorado City and these places where they're abusing kids through religion in droves. So now they have all these young kids, and young kids are like, oh shit, the internet, oh fuck, music. And I know I'm going on a tangent, but I watched a documentary in Utah, and it was about, in the gorge, they used to have a huge rock there, and that's the quickest way to get from Vegas to St. George. And during the sexual revolution, that rock was there, and they didn't blow it up until after the sexual revolution and the civil rights movement and all that shit. So it 100% correlates to people being fucking 20 years behind because they didn't go through that shit, because people would literally have to go hundreds of extra miles to go into Utah, that St. George town, and they wouldn't do it. So when they blew that shit up, it was actually, I think in the documentary, of course, documentaries want to say they're the best, but that they said was the most amount of dynamite they ever used in American history to blow that rock up.
Oh, wow.
So there's a reason why, besides the religion, why that St. George in southern Utah is very repressive, because they didn't get to see all this crazy shit. They don't have the parents that were like hooking up with all sorts of weird shit, So
it was closed off to the rest of the world because of a giant rock. It reminds me of like Legend of Zelda 2.
It was. Yeah. It was Legend of Zelda 2.
You got to break the rock with the hammer in order to get that's
with lots
crazy.
Of dynamite.
So. Yeah, except instead of a hammer, you got like the most dynamite in U.S. history. That's fucking nuts, man.
It's incredible the stuff that you learn in sticking it through really boring documentaries. There's a lot of great. I just watched one the other day on Cecil B. DeMille and the 10 Commandments, because I got to study all this religious shit, and it's incredible. In Guadalupe, they shot the first 10 Commandments there, and they couldn't take the sets back, so they literally just buried them in the desert.
Wow.
They buried them in the desert. So like these guys found that out. in film school, and they're like, we're going to find this shit. Took them 40 years to finally get excavation because the permits, basically Santa Barbara knew that they could get these guys from LA for lots of money because of the permits. It's a really, I can't remember the name of the documentary.
So they dug that shit up.
They dug it up. They excavated it.
And then they filmed a movie.
They made a documentary. It's really, if you're used to documentaries of today, it's tough to sit through.
What's it called?
I'll have to tell you afterwards because I can't
send me a message
because
I'm interested.
It's radical.
Yeah, I want to learn some stuff, and I want to kind of like escape for a tiny bit. I can't just like, I've been like, I'm on the internet too much, and just I've been watching a lot of Twitch streamers debate politics. really smart people, but also it's almost like it's just people are fighting really tough.
People are good at arguing. I mean, my whole life, that's what I like. If you want to win an argument, you can, but you also lose your entire family. Just remember that. You can win an argument, but you also make everybody hate you. And I've been trying to rectify that part of my existence.
Yeah.
They're not always smart either. Like, people think Ben Shapiro, this guy's smart. He's not a fucking smart guy. He just, no matter what you say, he has his little thing, but he's a butt guy. He is
a butt guy. Did you see him reading the Cardi B lyrics?
I love it. Yeah. I love that shit.
Wet ass P word.
Wet ass P word, bro.
Beat it up, N word.
And this is what those idiots have not they don't understand this even after, like, remember when we went through all this shit with video games, right? When Mortal Kombat came out.
Yep. And
everybody, like, the Senate and the House start debating all these great games. What do all the kids go and do? They're like, I'm gonna play that game. Now I know. It's like what Dave Chappelle said. Yeah. He's like, you just told me where to buy crack, motherfuckers. It's like, you're telling us.
I remember because of the backlash, the first time I ever saw a Mortal Kombat game in the arcade, I was at Cedar Point in Ohio, which is like an amusement park with a bunch of roller coasters. And I didn't go on any fucking roller coasters because I found Mortal Kombat, and I'm like, this is everything I've ever wanted. Like, there's actual blood. It was the same thing with the Guns N' Roses album in '91. I was talking about this on a podcast yesterday. Because it had the naughty words, is the reason I was like, I gotta listen to this. And then when I heard Axl Rose saying all that terrible shit, I was just like, yeah, I didn't know what it meant. But I loved it. I was in elementary school. I'm like, this is danger. This is danger personified. I loved it.
They did it with one of my favorite musicians of all time, then artist, is Marilyn Manson. I love the guy.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
He got me through like so much weird shit as a foster kid, being like an outcast. I was like, this guy, if I think I'm an outcast, what do you fucking think this guy is? This guy is like on the verge of another planet, right? And I remember getting that. I was part of the Marilyn Manson fan club, and I got the Dope Show cassette, and it had one side the Dope Show, and the other side, and it came out like 3 months before you could get it, and the other side had I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me.
Yeah.
I never even used drugs. I haven't smoked weed, none of that shit. But those two songs and that transformation from my favorite album of all time, Antichrist Superstar, into that David Bowie evolution of Coma White was like, or whatever that album's called. I can't remember.
Mechanical Animals.
Mechanical Animals. Yeah.
And that was the album where with the Dope Show where Marilyn Manson had prosthetic boobs and stuff.
That's for me. I was like, if this motherfucker can go out wearing prosthetic boobs and he's got no problems, why do I have a problem with some fucking idiot that I could smash to death, or maybe I couldn't? What he says or she says, So it was really monumental for me in just becoming a person. But it also gave me a lot of trouble because I was like, I wanted to be different than everybody else, and nobody could tell me what to do. That was part of foster care as well. Fuck you. Don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing is bad, but I'm going to learn from this process. Well, or maybe I won't. Fuck you. I'm doing it.
I feel like music and influential artists as a whole, they embolden young kids that are afraid and that are alienated, and that, like you said, like I guess you were part of the foster care program. And
yeah, I was a foster kid from 5.5 to about 16. My mom tried to kill herself in front of me and my other brothers. We were like hanging on to her in Napa. Remember we were talking about these fires and earlier before we went on.
Yeah.
In Napa, I grew up all over Napa, Vallejo, Stockton, Lodi, but I was in Texas for a little bit, but in Napa is where my mom tried to kill herself in front of all of us, and we all got put into separate foster families. I have a twin brother. He's really tall. Everybody always makes the twins, Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, which I just come to embrace, even though I'm a lot smarter than he is, and I'm fucking Arnold, as you can tell. But it was one of those things where, yeah, dude, foster care as such a young guy and not being around your real family, actually for me was a good thing. Now, if I start telling you about all my family, mostly it wasn't. And for most kids, it's not. But for my personality, being in foster care was it was killer.
Yeah,
because I was like, you're not my fucking dad. You're not my mom. Shut the fuck up. I'm going to go play Mortal Kombat at the 7-Eleven for 9 hours. Fuck you.
Okay, so it gave you the ability to just say fuck you to any authority, whether it was your foster parents or...
Yeah. I knew there was no... I guess it was just the bloodline. When you're a kid, you believe weird shit. That's why I don't teach my kid about religion. I had a hard time not telling her that Santa Claus wasn't real. I hope she doesn't watch this. But she loves Santa so much, so I'm just like, fuck it. You know, you don't want to, like, as a dad, you don't want to, you remember how traumatic the stupidest shit could be. You know, like from your friends growing up, you're like, they're stuck with shit like their dad just, told them to fuck off one time, and it like ruined their life. So I'm like, I try to think of that with my kid, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, this fucking sucks. What the fuck is this rope? But, I'm like, you should be listening to it, and you start thinking like, wow, I could be creating these traumas that I'm not looking at. And so it really is like, you really got to start checking yourself, and you don't want your kid. You want to live vicariously through your kids. I feel like that's a reality. Like you want to kind of mold them, but it's so much cooler to see, like you can tell your kid, hey, I guarantee you in fucking 6 months, you won't be listening to whatever the fuck you're listening to. You're not. It's fine. You're going to end up listening to the same shit your dad does. You know why? Because it's thought provoking.
Because it rules.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. You're going to like all this stupid shit because your friends like it. And then when you're older, you and dad will be going smashing people in the pit. So most likely that's the way it is, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's a good thing to consider because I'm sure my dad, a lot of the shit he said to me, he didn't realize for 1 second how much it fucked me up for my whole life. And if you're in that developing stage of childhood, you got to be a little soft, And
I'm not. And I have to really check myself. And this is a good point. I mean, at least this is my type of, I don't know. My wife and I have a great relationship, and we fight. And my kid will come in and be like, "Hey, can you guys just please stop fighting?" And we'll just have to cut it off, But we don't fight. We're not real fighters. We love each other, but we get in arguments over stupid shit like everyone does.
Oh yeah.
But it's so crucial, I think, to have two parents. And my kid Violet was like a planned kid. It wasn't just, whoa, we gotta kill. We planned to have her, and it was probably the best thing you could ever, because we talked about, hey, we're not going to fucking hit her no matter what. I'm not going to spank her. I'm not going to do any of that shit. Very white people shit. I'm not going to hit my kid, but it's been so beneficial because it's so much harder to teach your kid real shit without violence and your reptilian brain than it is to just get out the ruler and rule by fear. I was ruled by fear in a couple of foster families and by my real dad. And guess what I wanted to do? I want to fucking fight that motherfucker. So I was afraid because I was young. But as you start getting into a bigger man, you start turning 18, you're fucking going to football practice twice a day. You're doing wrestling. You're watching goddamn Chuck Liddell on the TV. You're like, come on, Dad. What do you want to do now? I'll break your old ass jaw.
Dude.
So violence only begets violence. I believe that.
Wow, everything you just said is so me. It kind of just fucking blew my mind. Yeah, because I've said in the podcast before, the whole reason I played football in high school is because I was made fun of and my dad thought I was a wuss. So it's like, what better way to prove to him? And get this, when I started lifting weights, and I got a big frame. When I got bigger,
you actually are pretty jacked, bro.
When I got bigger,
you're solid.
But get this, like, because my dad, when he was alive, he's a condescending dude. Nothing any of us kids, my brother and my sister, and nothing any of us did was good enough. Or if we did something good, he had to point out the negative in it, or the fact that maybe we cheated. So when I was like starting off, when I was starting offensive guard on the football team, I was like lifting heavy weights, was like deadlifting like 3-4 plates and shit. He straight up just said, "You're on steroids." Like he couldn't believe that I actually worked hard to.
And that probably came from his dad. You know,
his dad was a dick. My brother and I were on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and yeah, our grandpa kicked the shit out of my fucking dad, and that's the thing, is you got to recognize, like, okay, this is how I was raised. Am I gonna follow suit? Am I gonna do the same exact shit, or am I gonna stop the fucking madness? And
I'm gonna stop the madness. And your dad probably thought he was being like very nice. I catch myself saying shit like that. I'm like, shit. You know, I'm like, shit, Violet, you don't even fucking know, you know? When I was a kid, we had like one tape, fool. You know, we played one tape. We had like one soccer ball. We had to go out and find shit, you know? And I'm like, what the fuck am I saying? Times evolve and change. My wife had this perfect, poignant thing to say the other day. It was like, she's so sick of people. Like, we saw these signs driving from Utah back to California. And they're like, it's like, you know, have you seen the sign where it's like, Jesus is the way, and it's like on each sign, because this one was like, kids used to play with toys without batteries. And it's like, and I was like, first of all, is this person from fucking like 1990? Yeah. Shit doesn't have batteries in it the way you think they do. Yeah, and second of all,
it's rechargeable now. They have lithium ion batteries.
Yeah. And it said the last one said like, something to the effect of like, when I was a kid type shit. And I'm like, if you were a kid and you could look at internet pornography, your fucking horny ass would be on there all day. If you could, you know, ride a motor, I mean, it's just so stupid. All the things that you have today, if you had them back then, you're telling me you wouldn't use them? Like, what are you, a fucking Amish? Get out of here.
I was just talking, I think I was talking to my brother about it, or my friend Ron, about how the very first time I saw actual sex on a computer screen, it was like 40 DPI, like super. It was a GIF file on like one of those old IBMs that had like a fucking 16 color.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying? It was like 93. And so my introduction to sex was seeing these like still frame images, and then it got into this weird like Yabba Dabba Doo Fred Flintstone cartoon porn.
That's getting big again, bro.
But I see ads for it all the time. But what's
so weird?
What's crazy is that we had to like get a 3.5-inch floppy disk, and it was given to us by the older brother of my friend Alex. And this was like this coveted floppy disk that we put in the IBM. And then it was me and all my buddies were like gathered around the computer, just waiting.
Oh, that's the circle jerk right there.
Well, we didn't really know.
Sure.
The circle jerk came later, but we all. I just remembered that was my introduction to sex. My dad didn't sit me down and say, "Now, son, this is what sex is." I saw it on an 8-bit computer screen. And,
that's weird. I mean, I first saw magazines. Were we about the same age?
I'm 39.
Okay, you're older than me. I'm 36. Okay. You look younger than me, though. So good props to you. But what I'm saying is I started in the analog, the Beaver mags.
We had one of those, too.
What does Dave Chappelle call them? They're not Beaver mags. They're like... He has a term for it where they anyways, you'll have to look it up. But they were nasty, spread open, weird, and I was really like
Hustler always did that.
I was like, is this what all women look like? Is this what men look like? It really distorts your brain, especially when you see a dick like that's like a fold out of a page, and you're like, oh, I am fucked. That's what I gotta fuck with. And so like women always talk about like body dysmorphia and all this shit. And I'm like, man, it's bad for them. But then they don't know us poor guys too. I mean, fuck.
Well, not only
dudes are, And then you saw Ron Jeremy, and you're all, oh, well, he's actually, let's not talk about that guy because he's a fucked hedgehog. But you see fat guys like that, and you're like, how did they do it? And then you're, oh, yeah, they're rapists. Okay.
It's a lot. But yeah, one of the first skin mags I ever saw was from the 70s. And it had, and Ron Jeremy
looked like this.
Yeah, Ron Jeremy was in it. And I remember I was in middle school and I was looking at, and I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would not watch. I mean,
he's gross.
To say I finished any pornography movie is a stretch. But if that guy was on there, I'm like, yeah, I'm not.
What's weird is in 2004, my buddies actually hired Ron Jeremy to fly out and host this pimp and hoe party they did in Detroit. And
man,
and it was wild because I'm hanging out with this dude and I'm thinking to myself, well, I've seen this guy have sex, and then this is kind of a long-winded story. I'm going to tell the short version of it. But anyway, we're in the limo. Ron Jeremy is a narcoleptic, and he asks for an Altoid. So my buddy gives him an Altoid, and then he passes out. And he's got the Altoid on his tongue, and his tongue's hanging out with the Altoid is just in the center of his tongue. And then he wakes up, and the Queen song "Somebody to Love" is playing. And
that's a good song.
And so he rolls down the window of the limo, and he's like looking out the window, like listening to "Find Me Somebody to Love."
Find me somebody to love.
So we're with Ron Jeremy, and he's having this like contemplative moment. And then he's like, can you play that again? He literally listened to the song 4 times in a row while we were driving around from the airport or whatever. And he's just like staring off into the sunset, listening to Queen, chewing on an Altoid. And then he like goes through the story about one time I fucked an 80-year-old woman on camera. So it's just like,
80 or 8?
80s, 80.
So I'm glad you said 80 because this guy's been having a lot of.
I don't think he would brag about that. I don't think he would brag about.
I don't know, man. People are fucked up and weird, and people enable them. You know, like I don't know, man. It's a whole nother story.
The world is gross, dude. I'm with you.
You know, and it's easy for people to end up gross. You got to have people to set you straight and be like, you know, especially when you're like a 12-year-old kid, you got to have somebody to be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? That's not how you talk to women. That's not how you touch, you know, and sometimes it takes like a real strong dude to not be a piece of shit to teach other dudes. Dads don't really teach. You know, if I ever had a kid, you got to really teach these guys because I teach my daughter. You know, we have conversations with my daughter, my wife and I, that we're like, wow, man, I mean, this is kind of awkward, but it's better. It's better that you're honest with your kids, except about Santa because they love Santa.
Well, in all honesty, dude, I wish my dad and I had an open enough relationship where he would sit me down and be like, now this is the proper way to treat another human being. And this is how you treat someone with respect. I never had those conversations. I had those.
But he didn't know how to do that towards his own son.
No.
So how, you know,
I had those conversations with my mother. But the thing is like your mother's not gonna really sit down and be like talk to you about fucking. She would sit me down and just be like, now Neil, sex is what happens when 2 people love each other and they come together, and you know, like no graphic detail, no anything.
Yo, I love every girl with tits at school. I love every one of them because I'm walking around with a boner all day. I think I love all these girls.
Yeah,
and that's it. That is the problem, right?
And it's wild because when you're a teenage male, you're at like 17, 18, you're pretty much at the highest level of testosterone in your body. So
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? It's true. But seriously,
it makes sense.
My sophomore, junior year of high school, I was like constantly getting an erection and just didn't know why. And it was wild. It's a wild time. Yeah. But it's funny because
you learn ways to hide that thing.
Yeah, you got to tuck it, or you got to. There's ways to do it. But
your book bag in front of.
Yeah. Well,
I was always like sitting with my book bag right there.
Well, the worst is when the bell would ring, or you got called up to class to do something, and you were totally. I mean, it's.
Oh, look, Anthony's got a boner. He's going to the principal's office. He likes the teacher.
And that shit.
That dude's hot.
That shit'll fuck you. Yeah. that shit'll fuck you up.
The principal's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
Mike is a good-looking principal.
Yeah, Principal Mike.
I forget his last name, but he was a Mike.
Principal Mike.
A dickhead. He was my principal at a different school. And then when I got to high school, he was my principal, or when I ended up going to a different middle school, I feel like he was the principal there. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy following
He's following
me?
you, dude.
Yeah, he liked me.
Yeah, he liked you.
He saw what happened.
He knew you were
day.
getting boners, and he's like, "I'm going where this guy's going." That's funny.
Whatever, dude.
Whatever. So let's get into, you're a photographer. You do shit with record labels. You're an LA music aficionado. Let's get into some of your involvement in all of the craziness. Because I'm like I said before, when I interviewed Wacko, I was new to all this shit, all the crazy underground LA shit.
I love Wacko. That was one of my favorite podcasts. I love that you were like in the van outside this. We walked by and we're like, oh, hey, that's that guy Neil. Like, that was awesome, dude. But yeah.
That was one. Yeah, that was back when I could have people in my van without worrying about COVID, you know? And so everything's turned.
Well, you came and did a van show at one of the shows we threw as well.
Yeah, had cunts in there.
The record company that I'm working with, it's my buddy Tommy. He's in the background, this band, the Manx. The guy who shot this video, Mike, I can't say his last name. It's Mike Malawalowski or something.
I know the Manx because they're buddies with my friends in Tight Fright. Who
I love Tight Fright.
Yeah.
They're on our new compilation.
Awesome. They're great. Eric, the bass player, and Miles, I've known those dudes for like 12, 13 years. They're originally from Arizona. And back in the MySpace days, we would tour, and we met Eric on accident. He was in a band called Flagrante Delicto. And
that's a great name.
And we
like that name.
I've been friends with that dude for fucking ever now. And so it's
how weird is that we're all like, it's just the way it is, right? You're all connected.
Especially weirdos. I feel like weirdos attract other weirdos. So,
and you're a real weirdo. I've watched some of your old footage. You are a madman weirdo. I love it.
I'm just a dude. I'm
just a dude who does weird shit.
But yeah. So yeah, the Manx, and I have another buddy from Arizona that's a weird band. And some of those dudes work for like Adult Swim, like William Street. They're like animators and do crazy shit.
Tommy, he's becoming my best friend. I said it. He better say it back.
You passed the friendship test.
As soon as I met this band, the Manx, it was so trippy to me. So Tommy owns Sweatband Records, which has been around for about 10, 12 years. They put out like 50, various like vinyl, cassette, CDs, like, and it's basically like, you're a friend of the band, let's make it. And it was never really a profit driven thing.
It never is
a business. It was like homies.
Yeah.
Tommy, actually, the guy who runs it, he was like putting out all his own money. It was like a passion project that he just wanted to have a record label with his buddy, this guy, DJ Petite Sack. It's the best name of all time. But he actually intros we called it the Neon Corpse Parade, Volume 1. Hopefully, it was all music done during COVID, or some of the bands didn't give us new shit. But in the future, they're not going to be allowed to not give us original content. But we like the idea of bringing back a compilation. And me and my buddy Cameron, who Daisy Cutter Sound, he's a recording artist and he's a photographer as well, killer photographer. He takes pictures on this piece of shit camera, and he gets shit that you're like, fuck, that motherfucker, I got a $3,000 camera, and this guy got a better picture than me in the night. But anyways, me and him had this idea. We're like, let's do something. So we started the podcast named after the belt that we developed for one of the Wacko shows, this Lord of the Pit. So it's Lord of the Pit podcast. But anyways, we came up with this idea to make a COVID comp. And I'm all, okay, well, it's COVID-19. We should have 19 different bands. It should all be shit that came during the pandemic. And let's fucking put it together. We started putting it together. We wanted each band to pitch in $100. $100 get you 10 vinyl. And we're like, there we go. There'll be $1,900. We'll only have to pay for art, and everybody will be happy. It ended up being a lot of fucking work, and it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. It was a lot of work, but it was work that you're just like, yeah, I want to get home and I want to fucking call this band and make sure they got their art and their photo and how the song's going. And then you're listening to, 50, 60 bands to see what's good. And sometimes shit that's good doesn't fit what the comp is supposed to be. And at first, my comp idea was like, I just want this shit to be savage. I want it to be brutal. And I had all these bands lined up: Skullcrack, ACXDC, Graf Orlock, The Manx, Cunts, Despise You. I wanted them on there, Wacko, and all these bands like, slowly couldn't do it or weren't doing anything or had prior obligation. You know, it's you know how the world is, or they're on a label, you know. So it turned out, or they just didn't want to pay the $100.
It's been a hard time to create. Honestly, like I have a lot of people being like, "Oh yeah, you know, you're writing a lot of music." It's like I haven't written shit. I just do this podcast and make up dumb shit on the internet, dude. It's hard. It's hard right now to like feel inspired because you look outside your window and everything's fucked, and you would think that would turn into some sort of artistic output, but for me, it just makes me too sad to make shit.
Aw, I hate to hear that, bro, because you're such a creative, beautiful guy, and you're funny, and you're on the. So you got to change that because I honestly am really, besides music being gone, I'm gonna miss the pandemic. Talking from a place of privilege where my wife and I still both work, I get it. You know, there's a lot of fucked up shit, but goddamn, punk, hardcore, power violence, violent, savage music thrives under these conditions.
This is true, yeah.
You know, that's all I can say about that.
I don't want
people to think I'm, you know.
I'll get there. I'm actually working on a bunch of different projects, but the thing is it's like I'll get motivated and I'll be like, all right, dude, I'm gonna like make this cool thing, and then I'll start doing it, and I don't know, things just get in the way. I don't know what to say. I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
Well, you're going to get there. So, Well, thankfully, with this Neon Corpse Parade, we had 3 people. You know, it was me, Cameron, and then we brought it to Tommy because he has Sweatband Records. We're like, he'll know the ins and outs of the bullshit you don't know about how much it's going to cost, which it turned out he didn't really know, even though he'd been done it before. Like all the stuff that you think this guy's going to know, he's too busy, right? Tommy he's in Def Club, which is on 31G with Justin Pearson. He's in The Manx, which, you know, we got them to write a brand new song, which was a big deal because they haven't written new work in forever. The way they work is they're all really artistic, individual people, and they're in a band that's kind of the vision of one, maybe 1.5 people. So when it comes time to making music, it's like, you know, that whole like aspect. But so, and then other bands, when we were like, hey, fuck, we need a brand new song, they were thanking us. Like the Cunts, I was like, hey, do you guys think you could write a new song? They're all, we got new fucking music we're writing right now. You can, you could have this. Thanks for fucking having us do this. And they're out there they're doing a music video like the next day. And then they're like, that music video sucked. We're going to do another one. And they do another one and it's better.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I definitely follow those dudes.
They are, listen to me. I don't know how that band is not fucking gigantic, and it's probably because of the pandemic, because I think they were going to maybe open for Faith No More and shit. But Cunts, I saw a little thing that popped up. It was like the 4th show I had gone to, and that was 2 years ago. So I've been hard on Cunts.
Can I tell a little Cunt story real quick?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I'm in line at Mr. Bungle, one of the LA shows. And this is great. And this car pulls up, and there's this dude in the car, and he's fucking listening to what sounded to me like Cunts, and he's screaming the lyrics, and he's just fucking driving the car all erratically, pulled into the fucking, and everyone in line for Bungle is like looking at this guy like, who is this fucking maniac? Parks his car, gets out. Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's you. And I'm like, but we hadn't met we met briefly, and I was like, and I'm with my buddy. I'm like, I know that guy, and then
that's funny.
And then next thing I know, Kunz is playing at what was the venue? What's the venue?
It was at the Fonda
Theater,
which is a big step up for a band like Kunz. It's a big venue.
Well, opening for Bungle. And
it's like, and so even whew.
And all I remember it like it was fucking yesterday because it wasn't that long ago. It
was like 6 months ago.
You literally were like knocking people on their ass because while Kunz was playing, you're like, "Come on, motherfuckers!" And people are just bouncing off you like bowling pins. And I was like, "Dude, this guy's fucking insane." It was great.
I felt kind of bad because the Bungle crowd, they've got to be.
They're up there. They're getting up there.
Older.
They're getting
but I was trying to avoid them and hit their kids. You know, I try to be, when I'm in the pit and I'm doing my thing, I try to be very conscious of females and people that are smaller than me. But sometimes when Cunts is playing, dude, I don't give a fuck, man. Those are my homies, and that they weren't getting any love in the pit to me was bodaciously fucking bad, because they like, Cunts is usually like all right in this little tiny, we have seen him at the Church of Fun, at Little Joy, like these tiny little fucking places that hopefully will still exist. And then all of a sudden, that Fonda stage, like maybe it's not as big as I'm imagining, but they covered the stage. They got 2 guitar players, bass player, drummer, and then Matt in the front. And Matt doesn't come from a hardcore like vocal spot. He does like indie punk rock in this band Quee. Oh yeah. And for him, there's like a total fucking transformation in Cunts. He becomes like, I think, who he really is deep inside his heart. Yeah. And like, I know it's, but when they covered that stage and you hear that da-na-na-na-na-na, and Mike Crane is like one of the greatest guitar players that doesn't get enough love. Like, he's been in all the big crazy rock and roll, like, you know, he's in Dead Cross, and people, the first time I met that guy Mike to Sidetrack, he fucking knocked my camera out of my hand and I wanted to fucking kill him. I like was ready to fight him mid show, but I didn't, because I was like, you know what, I'm in his space. Thank you. I just got a huge package. I think it's like fucking 10 records, but anyways, he knocks my camera out of my hand, and I fucking was like livid at this place called the Church of Fun on Melrose. It's the best place to see a show. And I didn't know this band. And then people are like, hey, that fucking guy, he's in Dead Cross. I'm all, oh, really? Really? So I'm like, oh, okay, let's see and he was fucking killer. The band was killer. Every time I've seen them, they don't suck at all. They'll probably tell you otherwise. But to see them covering that stage, and nobody, because like, oh, it's the opening band, that type of mentality, it just made me, and I was cannonballing motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, it was just so fun. It was just funny because I knew you, I had met you, but I didn't know you, and I just thought it was funny because I'm waiting in line. Everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm like, oh, it's Anthony. Gets out of his car screaming, ah! Next thing,
singing Cunts. That's what it was. I was singing.
You rolled up singing like Cunts, and you're fucking screaming your ass off, and everyone's just like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm like, oh, I know him. That's my little story. That's fun. They
are the best. I love that band, and I'm so happy. I saw them. They opened for the Melvins. They went on a tour with the Melvins and Hepatitis, because Sterling, who's the rhythm guitar player, or I don't even know if he's rhythm. He does these like things.
Yeah, he's in Hepatitis as well.
Yeah, he's in Hepatitis. And so it was Hepatitis, Melvins, and Cunts. And I saw them in another place. It was weird. They played in Santa Barbara, and that crowd was totally dead. And sometimes I feel it's my obligation to let people know that, like, you're not witnessing some fuckhead opening band at the Whiskey. This isn't the Whiskey a Go-Go where everybody's paying $200 to play and they fucking suck. This is a band that, if properly advertised, and maybe if they didn't have a name so fucking savage, would be a monumental huge band that has connections to huge bands, and their music is like well written. The songs are thought provoking. Some of them get you angry, you know, like you're like,
it's dark.
Oh, what is he fucking talking about, that piece? And then you're like, oh, he did that to me.
It's dark and sleazy.
Very sleazy.
It's got a sleaze,
but it's smart. But it's written by a very smart guy.
Oh yeah. So. When we had him in the van, Matt was a sweetheart.
He is. He's a strange cup of tea. That guy.
I gotta get just him on the podcast. I'm sure that would be really interesting.
I bet he will. For a long time, Matt and I hated each other, I think. You know, and we were doing that Wacko show, and it was supposed to be we did the one that was infamous, right? That the cops came.
That's the one I was at.
And I tried to convince those guys to not leave. And then one of the band members left, and I want to say his name, but I don't want to call him out. One of the band members left when I told him to stay, because we had a secondary party Old school. We did it old school like they used to. You'd have several venues. One gets busted. You go to the other. And that's how we had it around the corner. And Wacko ended up playing and Cunts didn't. And it was a night with Skull Crack, Melted Bodies.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was fucking savage. And so anyways, we redid because we had a casket and I had a hearse come. We paid for a hearse to come, and Matt was going to be in the casket, and we carried the casket to the show. And, you know, Cunts are in there doing their thing, and he pops out of the casket and people lose their shit. That didn't end up happening. We started carrying the casket in, and the cops, there were a lot of cops there. It was kind of ridiculous, you know. And
I was there when it was getting broken up. Yeah.
Yeah. But they left. They fucking left. And I told them not to. And Wacko got all the glory and put on a killer, unforgettable show like I knew Cunts would have, you know. And that's the tragedy of not listening to me.
Yeah, I saw the pics. And so how long have you been doing the photography thing? Because your lighting, and I wish I could like plop up some examples, but you're the way you light everything is very stark and like movie like cinematic, and then your live photography has this sense of like you're literally right in the pit, and it's because you are. Like when I see the photos of other photographers get of you're like throwing 3 people off you with your camera like this, like you're shooting while you're like fighting the pit.
It's the only way.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Let me hold on. I want to get a nice frame here behind me. There we go. That's the mix. But
oh yeah,
the idea of photographing that way is the first time I photographed music. I've been photographing probably since my kid was born, like really serious. My whole life, I've loved I started with a VHS camera. Then I bought a Sony Handycam with night vision. So I never was taking pictures, but I was always doing video and recording everything. And I grew up on the CKY Jackass craze and all that like internet boom. So we all wanted to be Jackass, except I didn't want to get hit in the nuts. Yeah. You know, we were all those kids. We were all Bam Margera before he fucking, you know, we all wanted to skate, not work, and fuck shit up. And so we came from a small town. We all loved heavy metal. We all liked doing stupid shit, and that's where I came from. And so I only started working to buy camera gear. I was like, I didn't want to work at all, and I'm a hard worker. Like now, I was in television for 10, 12 years doing camera operating and AC, and I kind of like don't do it at all anymore. I dig holes, which is like kind of soul crushing, but at the same time is great, you know, because I dig a hole or I do whatever it is of the day. And if somebody says some shit to me, I could tell them to fuck off and I go home. Whereas before, if I told somebody to fuck off, I get blacklisted. And it happened in a lot of companies.
Oh, geez.
So I had that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, we'll get into that in part 2.
But anyways, the whole idea of just me recording moments and people and situations was always a part of me. And maybe it came from like when I really try to like think about it, it probably comes from not having all those times and memories with my family, you know, because I was in foster care at such a young age, and everybody always telling me, like, even my dad, when I finally moved in with him, you know, was kind of tricked into moving in with him, and not really, but that's another story. But like, I couldn't even get this guy to fucking pay for a photography class. It's the only thing I liked. And he wouldn't pay for the film and the camera. It was too expensive. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit then. I'm going to get a stupid ass job, and I'm going to start buying my own camera gear, you know? And so that's what I started doing. And I would say probably from the time I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, I had my own VHS camera, my own Sony Handycam, like the top of the line night vision shit, you know,
nice.
$1,200.
Wow, cool.
Back in the day, like I saved my money and get that shit.
That was me with my first guitar I ever bought. I was working at an ice cream shop, and I
worked at Baskin Robbins.
Dude, I worked at a place called Guernsey. And I was scooping fucking ice cream for $7.25 an hour, and that's how I got my first Gibson Les Paul Standard. I saved all summer for that shit. So
I worked at Baskin Robbins and Togo's, and I used to steal or give away so much shit. Like, oh my God. And the babes. I'm a married man for a long year, but the babes at the ice cream shop, I'll tell you what, dude, if you're a young kid and you're embarrassed of wearing pink and blue at Baskin Robbins, don't be an idiot. Don't drive your stupid car and put miles on it. Go get a job scooping ice cream in the summer.
Yeah.
If the pandemic ever ends.
Yeah, well, yeah. Fingers crossed.
It will.
But I had a crew, and this was around like 04, 05. Yes, smash that LaCroix.
Sorry.
And I can't explain to you how influential the whole Jackass thing was, and mostly the CKY videos, because
CKY.
Yeah. Here was a dude from Pennsylvania. It was just he and his friends, and he was just videotaping all of these weird, funny skits. And then it was so DIY. He's videotaping all his friends skateboarding. And so it just, the combination of the comedy and the skits and the skateboarding and then the music. Because
the music was, he had shit on there that like, still to this day, like I'll go back and it'll take me right back to that moment in time of me doing stupid shit with my friends. You know, I loved all that shit.
And I don't know if Bam Margera is aware of this, but how many crews of friends he single-handedly influenced to pick up a camera and just get fucking weird. In 04, 05, I just posted a clip of this fucking bodybuilder dude while my band is playing.
I saw that. That's hilarious.
That was that whole crew. Yeah, dude, our whole crew was just a bunch of butt lugs. We called ourselves butt lugs, and we would just fucking... I like that. We would we hired a bodybuilder. We would play these shows, and everything was documented. He had my buddy Tommy actually spent $5,000 on one of those Sony shoulder mount what the fuck was it? Was a Sony 5K, or I forget the actual, but it was, we were shooting 1080p. I wasn't, they were, but we were shooting out of a 1080p camera in 05. And this
that's crazy.
This
right?
was before YouTube even had HD capabilities. They had their own website where they would put together all this footage of them whipping each other with belts and fucking just like chugging booze and dressing up in a chicken costume and tackling people and just
that was all like when I was younger, I didn't want to give credit. Like I wanted to think that I was original, that I came up with that shit. Yeah. But you're right. So many kids from shithole towns. Yeah. Now I was in Napa, California at that time. Okay. And then moved into Lodi near Stockton. And those two are pieces of shit, really, if you're poor.
I've been to Stockton.
If you're rich, they're probably awesome.
Yeah.
Stockton's pretty shitty. That's where me and my wife were both born from. Okay. But what I'm saying is, like you were saying, Bam, I think he knows. I really do appreciate him. He's kind of gone off the deep end, and he lost a friend, and
it makes sense.
I think he's coming back, right?
Yeah, he's trying. It seems like he's trying.
Was also fucked up the way he treated his parents and everything. Yeah. So like, but anyways, I think he did, like you were saying, your friend got that $5,000 camera, dude. When I came to LA, I moved to LA most likely because of Bam Margera and those stupid videos. Because I was sitting there and my friend was like, I'm moving to LA to go to film school. And he was a cool guy, but I was always like, man, fuck that guy, because his parents had money and shit. Right. Yeah. And so I told my wife that, and my wife saw, well, we could do that. And she was my girlfriend then, and I only had known her for like not even half a year. She goes, well, we could do that.
She was ride or die. Ride or die.
I didn't know that was a thing. My wife had to go, yeah, bitch, we could just move. So I was like, okay, we drove down to LA. We looked for schools. We got into a school that just takes everybody, right? And I remember we were in Venice, and we were like, hey, let's get up early and watch the sunrise on the West Coast. So we're sitting there on the West Coast looking at the beach, and all of a sudden, like, we feel heat on the back of our neck, and we're all, oh, fuck, that's how stupid we are. The fucking sun sets in the west, idiot, and it doesn't rise. So we were up at like 5:30 in the morning to watch the sunrise, only 2 hours to be hit from where it rises from in the fucking east. That's how stupid we were, you know? And there were no we didn't really even have a cell phone, a home computer. So when we drove down to LA, we had my wife's car. We had to sell a bunch of cars, got a fuckload of cars, and we had a U-Haul, and we had walkie-talkies from one to the other when we were going up the Grapevine. And just like the Grapevine does to thousands of cars, it killed the U-Haul. So we had to get somebody to come back. I guess it just didn't have water in it, and we didn't have water. We had water, but we filled it. And anyways, it ended up being fine. We got to LA. We somehow found a place without even having a place ahead of time. We met this guy off of Santa Monica Boulevard, this guy George. And he goes, you know what? I like you guys. You can move in. And he just let us move into the place. And it was incredible because everything just happened, and it shouldn't have happened. There were all these things saying, bitch, don't go, and it just worked out.
Well, when I interviewed the Green Jello guy, he has a similar story. And I have a similar story too. When I came out to LA in 2016, I had a van full of my shit, and I didn't know where I was going to stay. I was homeless for a minute, but those make the best stories. You go there, you go, like Green Jello guy just showed up with his girlfriend and his car full of shit. And like, I don't know what, like a year and a half later, he was signed to a major label. Now, my luck didn't go as well as Green Jello guy, but
mine neither.
But this is the thing. This city, if you show up and you start grinding, things will fall into place.
Sometimes you don't have to grind. Sometimes it just happens, right? Dude,
I remember I was living in my van with my ex, and she's like, we can't do this anymore. Your back hurts. You're complaining too much. We're getting terrible sleep. This is dangerous, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I guess we'll find a place. And we were in Starbucks the next day.
Hey, Starbucks, you son of a bitch. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
They have free internet. So we're in Starbucks on the internet, and we're just like, what are we going to do? We got to find a place. And literally on Facebook, this dude I know from Detroit is just like, who wants to live on the west side of LA? This room just opened up. I'm moving. And it literally just fell right in our fucking laps.
That's awesome.
And next thing I know, I'm living in fucking West Hollywood. I'm riding my bike by fucking Henry Rollins. I'm riding my bike up to Runyon Canyon, and I'm just like, wow, this is cool. She hated it, but I thought it was pretty fucking cool. And and that's the type of thing. Like, everyone was always asking me before I came out. They're like, where are you gonna live? Where are you gonna work? Where are you gonna stay? I'm just like, I'll figure it out. And dude,
I'm gonna live in the Hollywood Hills, bitch. I'm gonna be doing cocaine. I'm gonna be balling, bro.
I'm gonna live in Zappa's old house, man.
Yeah, dude. I like Zappa.
Oh, I assume you.
I don't listen to him long enough. I'm always like, I like the short, quick shit, but Zappa is, and he was a revolutionary dude on political fronts too.
He's just an all-around genius, musical genius, and he was a genius with rhetoric. But yeah, as far as Zappa is concerned, I'm kind of in the same camp. When he starts doing a 10-minute guitar solo, I kind of tune out. But his actual songs with lyrics where he's like talking some shit about something is so on point, because it's so satirical and funny and witty, and then the music that goes behind it generally is like really fucking technical and melodic, and then he writes these really beautiful instrumental songs. And God bless, glob bless, or the fucking spaghetti spaghetti monster bless Frank Zappa is all.
That's a religion. I'm glad that you know about that. Rastafari, what is it? Pastafarian?
Yeah, Pastafarian. It's the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, something like that.
Dude, I am such a huge, hold on, let me fix this because I got a bright spot behind us, and that's just not going to work for me. I really, and that's still bright, but I love all of these stupid religions. And by saying stupid, I mean every single one of them.
Subgenius? Do you know about the Church of the Subgenius?
No, I need to see now. Then I'm an idiot. I'll figure that one out.
It's all good, because that's the thing, is like sometimes you just don't know about stuff. When I interviewed Cunts, I didn't know that the song I liked off their album was a Tom Waits song. I
saw that moment, and I saw you like the sweat dripping down, and I was all poor Neil, but I didn't know it was either because it fits so well with Matt's personality.
Yeah,
you think he wrote it. So good job, Matt. But they like that. They're just, they like to troll people a little bit too and test them on their shit. And it's everybody likes to do that, right? Like everybody likes to play devil's advocate. I see there's this great meme with Kid Rock, that where he's walking on the beach.
Love Kid Rock.
And it's like every white dude coming to play devil's advocate in a political conversation. And I'm like, oh fuck, that is us, isn't it?
I try not to do that, but yeah, it is a lot of people.
It's hard not to, because we grow up we've seen the same shit play over and over and over again. If, we're both 40, we're close to 40. We've been seeing this happen, and we want to stay positive. There were like glimmers of hope that shit could change. and you're like, yeah, people are more like progressive now and they're like into it. But then you meet progressive people too, or liberal, or however you want to fucking say it, that'll catch you up on vernacular, on language, on how you speak about shit. And you're like, bro, that's not the fucking point. The point is that we're all part of this poor race. We're a poor class. We need to stick together and try like not make this, we don't like racism. We would like women to get paid the same amount. We would like black people not to be disproportionately fucking murdered by the cops. We would like for people not to ask people of color in a predominantly white neighborhood. My buddy told me this last night. Hey, what are you doing here? We all agree on this shit.
Yeah,
so now
a lot of us,
you just got to let people be people. And if somebody is as abrasive as I am, I'm going to try to change that. But you got to know that too, is like, sometimes people are just that way. Like now, if I say something that's 100% fucking insensitive, racist, xenophobic, call me out, and I want to change that shit. But I'm already thinking about that shit as we go through life, right? It's part of like being I'm a late stage millennial. So when people talk shit on millennials, I'm like, bitch, I am a millennial.
I'm right on the cusp. I'm like right where Gen X and millennial meet. Yeah.
I mean, people my age will say they're Gen X.
Yeah.
But
they're millennials.
We're not.
Yeah.
But we're not. So
according to the internet, they're millennials because like 82, I was born in 81. So I
was born in 83. I'm a millennial.
I'm a Gen X guy, but just by a year,
Yeah.
And then,
but you care about shit like a millennial. It affects you like a millennial, and that's because you got both. You got the end of the Gen X, and you lived most of your shit, and you're still living in that millennial. And then I guess we call them Zoomers. What the fuck that is so weird. And now we're on Zoom. Look at that.
Yeah, we're Zoomers on Zoom, or we're trying to be.
Zoom.
We're Boomers trying to be Gen Xers, trying to be Millennials, trying to be Zoomers on Zoom. So,
there we go.
Whatever that means.
That's a fucking reggae song.
Yeah, that's my next reggae song. But yeah, I think it's all about just it's about understanding where you came from, where your privilege is, and just trying not to be a shitty person, which means at this point, at this stage in history, it's not necessarily our fight, the fight for injustice. So we have to just sit back and listen. That's why I had, my friends in Fishbone, Norwood and Angelo, and my friend Dika, and I have people who are protesting in the street on my podcast because there's a lot I can learn,
Yeah, and I love Fishbone, by the way.
Yeah, Fishbone's one of the...
I don't listen to their music all the time, but I saw them at Aftershock. Oh, man. They cover that stage.
Yeah.
Homeboy is 60, and he's fucking just kicking shit.
They're in their 50s.
I love them.
I think collectively they're all in their 50s, but they're an important band, and they're one of my favorite bands of all time. So the fact that I was even able to work with Norwood, like on music, on my own music, was like amazing. And on top of it, he's like, dude, I never had a positive male role model in my life, so to have Norwood in my corner, like giving me advice and telling me about life, and he's willing to like come on my show and really just explain systemic racism because he lived it in South Central when he was a kid, and explain all that shit to like my primarily white audience. I think it's a blessing.
And your blonde hair, milky skin, like
this is dye, my actual hair color.
But whatever, though, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I'm as
for
white.
him to go out of his way. A lot of people have just been
of white people. I'm fucking white.
I am too.
I'm so white. It's
painful. One of those things where it's like, for him to take the time when he's probably had to explain this to so many ignorant, not you, but ignorant, like people that don't even care about it. At that point you're like, it's almost like he would give up, but that's how dope that dude is, that he's like, I'm going to keep teaching people shit.
He's just down to do what he can to make the world a better place, whether that's talking on some dude's podcast or just being vocal on the internet. He cares about humanity. It's fucking very, it's a big part of who he is. He gives a shit, It's
awesome.
And what's crazy too is he doesn't get the hopelessness doesn't take over. I know he has days where he probably gets down and he hurts, but for the most part, he's so fucking hopeful about everything. He watches the world burn and he's like, yeah, well, scientists just discovered this algae that can like eat garbage in the ocean. And he's like, you know what I mean? Like, he gets excited about progress of human beings as a species.
That's awesome.
But then he also is very aware of how gross and disgusting everything is. So he's a great guy to talk to because he looks at both sides of things. And then he remains positive. Like, I have a problem doing that. I look at everything and I try to remain positive, and I'm just like, God damn, this is fucking everything's fucked. You know, and then I get bummed out. I just get like motivated, you know. So I'm trying though. I'm working on it.
That's good, man. And that's a good thing to realize about yourself is how shit affects you and trying to change it if it's a negative thing in your life. For me, you know, I see all this negativity and I'm like, it starts getting me angry. And that's, I think, a big reason why I listen to a lot of heavy music that's just fucking, it gets that like out of you. You're like,
oh yeah,
it's such a good thing. And I just remember being a kid wanting to fucking hurt shit and tear shit up and burn shit as like this kid with, you know, probably too much jizz in his balls and no way to, you know what I mean? Not even knowing that you had it for a while.
What is this?
Yeah. And then, and not, no male figure telling you that, hey, just go fucking get rid of that shit and you'll feel better. And you won't want to go kill and fuck and be all these terrible things that men become. You know, it's that simple sometimes. Like, hey, you're being a baby about this. Not everybody reacts to that the same way. My wife tells me that, I get pissed for 5 minutes and I'm like, yeah, she's right. I'm being insensitive and too sensitive all at the same time. You know, it's like we need, and that's what I was telling you earlier about like my daughter needing me and my wife. And that's not for everybody, but for her, you'll see it. She'll come to me about certain things. She'll go to mom about certain things. And sometimes she just needs us both at the same time. And it's, when you start hearing about people that are fucked up and you have no empathy and you can't relate to them, you just got to realize not everybody reacts to, and this is something that I've my whole life I've had to kind of, it's like a mantra that I am not the same as others. Others are not the same as me. Because my whole life people are like, Anthony, you gotta chill out. Hey, you can't say that, Anthony. Well, that motherfucker said it. Well, we're not all the same. You just said we were the same. What the hell? Yeah, but you're louder. Hey, well, the fuck, it's just the way I tell you. You know, I'm always like, it's not fair. You know, and I never cared about fair, but I would be like, you said it has to be fair. And then they're like, well, no, it's not. You're this big, nasty son of a bitch, and they're not. So you need to treat them differently. And I was like, oh. Over the time, I'm like, oh, and you start realizing like we're not all the same. We need to be talked to differently. Some people aren't ever gonna be friends, and that was one thing that was really good for my life. Is like sometimes people aren't gonna fucking like you. Maybe one day they will, but for the most part, it's like some people aren't ever gonna get you, bro, and that's fine. And you got to be okay with that. Like I tell my daughter that. She's like, well, what if somebody doesn't like me? I'm all, well, you know what? Do you even like them? Does it matter? For me, it was easy. They don't like me. I don't really even know who the fuck they are. I don't like concern myself with it. So it's fine.
That's,
you know? And
that's something that my therapist asked me. And I've talked about it before. She's like, you want everyone to like you, don't you? And I'm just like, well, yeah.
I've noticed that about you.
Oh,
and
that's crazy.
I've noticed that. But that's what's, you know, that's just how people are different, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing way better with it because she told me, she's like, Neil, not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay. And
it's hard not to, though.
Oh,
I bet a lot of people like you,
thanks,
and it's
buddy.
in your brain because you're a very likable guy.
Well, this is the thing, is my desire to be liked by everyone is because ultimately I just wanted to be liked and loved and appreciated by my dad. So I've just been unpacking this shit since he died and since I've been in therapy. It's like, okay, like I'm obnoxious, I'm loud, I do, like, not everyone's gonna like my music. Not everyone's gonna like what I do. But I should just be me anyways. And fuck it, who cares? There's fucking billions of people in the world, and I'm friends with a good number of them, and I love them, and they love me, and fuck it. Let's just.
And and I've seen the change and heard the change in you. You know,
that's wild.
If you watch anything of yourselves when you were a younger kid, you know, you and we like you said, there's a lot of similarities between.
Oh yeah,
you and
I'm noticing that big time. Like even when you were talking about you were talking about certain people like have different levels of empathy, and that's just who they are. My girlfriend and I just got in an argument about it, just like before we even started doing this shit, because I'm like,
you can grow that though.
Yeah.
Think of your empathy as like an empty refrigerator. You can be like, oh, I'll throw this in there, or the cupboards, or whatever it is, canned food, loading it up. You can gain empathy, and it takes trying. It takes the actual act of like doing it, like thinking of putting yourself in somebody else's situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why recently, why you've been getting so bummed, because you're getting better at it and people aren't. And you see these people that like our president that has zero empathy,
especially for poor people. He's never been poor. He'll never understand the plight of someone that is going paycheck to paycheck. He's been rich his whole fucking life, you know?
He can lose billions of dollars, and he has, and it won't affect him.
Yeah.
So that's why people like just need to shut the fuck up about this dweeb. He will never know what it's like, because he's taken advantage of all the people in every aspect of his life, and it's never affected him in any type of way.
The worst part about it too is that poor people think he cares about them
because they're dumb.
Yeah.
A lot of poor people are dumb.
Oh yeah,
I was dumb for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not the most educated person, but
Neither
we just have to we have to admit that as well. Like I'm not a genius by no stretch of the imagination. I have a hard time like with grammar and spelling and like not saying fuck every other word. I'm not a genius, right? So
neither am I, dude.
But if somebody can't see that fucking turd stool is a piece of garbage, that he's the kid that lied about everything, got everything, then there's a mental defect in your brain, or you're like, you know what? Just because, and I was like this, just because you don't like it, I like it. That's asshole shit.
That's
you
the
gotta
thing.
get rid of that. You got to get rid of that shit. But release the anger, bro.
Yeah, we're working on things. Oh, thank you, Cam Evans. Oh, that was nice. Cam Evans. Cam Evans is a photographer too.
Cam Evans. Do I know that person? I probably do. I love you, Cam Evans.
Sacramento punk rocker.
I do know Cam Evans. He does I have Cam Evans. Just wait right there real quick.
He's got photos of cunts, I think. He's got a book. Did you buy his book? It would be such a small world.
I got it.
Is it called Sacramento is Burning?
This is Cam Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just he just threw me a dono.
I know Cam.
Dude,
I got two of his zines.
Yeah, he does great shit. He's a really nice person too. Cool.
All right.
I met him. We were on tour with the band Tartar Control. Do you know Tartar Control? They do the Mormon.
I know it's in my toothpaste, brother.
Yeah, but do you know the band?
No.
They do. They're like two Mormon missionaries. It should be right up your alley because you're doing the Cancer Christ thing. But it's like tongue in cheek.
We're not tongue in cheek though. But
yeah, their shit is very comedic because they're.
Yeah, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, you got it.
They're like Crucifix, maybe. Like.
It's PG. It's rated PG because the whole. Well, no, it's not PG because they talk about crazy shit. I gotta send you one of their videos. You'll get it immediately.
I'm gonna check them out. I love that shit.
Tartar Control. They're two Mormon missionaries that play punk rock.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's great.
Are they real missionaries, or is that the shtick?
No. Well,
That's cool,
actually they are. They are. Yeah.
There's a band called the Mormons, and they dress up in like bicycle hats, the bicycle helmets, and the Mormon thing.
Very similar.
I hear they're awesome, but I haven't seen them either. But Tartar Control.
Dude,
fuck with them.
Tartar Control has a video called "Jesus Is Love." That's amazing. It was shot at the Doll Hut, and then they have a video in Anaheim. They got to have a video called "Smoking Crack," which is shot in L.A. It's amazing stuff. You're gonna love it. I can't believe you don't know Tartar Control. It's crazy,
bro. There's probably like millions of bands that you know that I don't know, and vice versa. That's what's incredible about talking to people. Is like people will come up to you and go, "Hey, bro, if you like this, you'll like this." Oh, yeah. Go, I don't know them, and they'll go, "What?" They want to strike you that you don't know it, and you're like, I can't listen to it all. I tell people that all the time. It's like I can't listen to it all, and I think I do a good job of trying. Like today, you told me about Tartar Control. I will listen to them today because otherwise, YouTube. I won't ever do it.
You have to see the visual representation.
And that's good. It's good that you have to tell people that, because a lot of times the visuals will fuck a band for people, or the music. But sometimes when they're together, or if you see them live, it's a different experience. And if you're in the wrong mindset, it can fuck up bands. When I was a kid, I hated Tool because there was a fucking Tool that wore a Tool shirt. And every time I saw it, I was like, I ain't gonna
fuck that Tool band.
Fuck that guy. It was because of that guy. Fuck that band. Well, I'm still not a huge Tool fan, but I do like them.
Yeah. Well, imagine
their early shit is amazing.
Imagine just listening to Guar's music. And, you know what I mean? Like, and that's your introduction to Guar. You're not gonna get it. But when you look at a Guar video, you're like, oh, that's Guar. And then you're
Jesus Christ in a one-on-one game. Yeah. It's the best music video of all time.
It's amazing.
All time. So like I wanted to kill all religion, and these guys are like, let's just beat this bitch in a game of one-on-one. It's very poignant to me.
Dave Brockie, rest in peace, mad genius.
I know.
Now let's get into Cancer Christ, because I don't know anything about it. I follow it. I know. Is it a band? What is it? Explain it to me.
Cancer Christ is the band.
It's
actually a religious movement, and it's probably going to take over the world. I mean, so the Cancer Christ came to me in a vision. I hadn't eaten in a couple days. I had ran out of gas, and I had to walk through the deserts of Utah all the way to Vegas. My phone was broken. This was years ago. And I started tripping out because I didn't have food and I didn't have water. I was trying to hitchhike, but the way I look, people are like, oh, fuck, this guy just got out of prison. So I didn't get picked up, and I walked hundreds of miles. I started tripping out, and I literally saw God. I saw God, and I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of that bullshit. And I saw God, and he came to me, and he told me that he's dying. He goes, hey, I am dying. And I know you've heard this about religion. I know you're not like into this or that, but I'm dying, and I'm looking for warriors, for savages to take up arms so that I can pass on my power onto a new Christ, a new God. And I was like, oh, I'm fucking down. And he said, these new people, which I'm one of, apparently there's a bunch, need to spread the gospel that evil is coming, the Armageddon's coming, all this shit like we've always heard is bullshit. He's telling me, and again, I'm fucking hurting, I'm sore, all this shit's going on. So who knows? Like when I look at it in retrospect, I like to think that it wasn't real, like I was just hallucinating, but it was too vivid and too like I actually like was touched and felt this like searing light through my body, like this. I don't know, it was trippy. And he told me all these things that like we need somebody that's not gonna want to just be PC about this shit. We want somebody that's gonna that has some violence in their heart, that has some evil in their soul, to be able to take up this word so that I can make it to finding this new person. And he told me it's this big process, you know, it's not like he knows everything that's going on like everybody thinks about. It's a process that he has to find the next God. And he's like, will you join me? And I said, of course. And that's where Cancer Christ came from. This was years ago. I had this trippy, and I haven't had one since, but it's always been stuck in my brain. And when I met Tommy, I told him a little bit about it, and I was like, bro, we got to do, if we did this in a band and we could spread the word, maybe it would be the way that we, can preach the gospel of this and this was years ago. So I hope he's still around. I hope I get another vision. So we wrote a few songs, and like I said, Christ was telling me, basically, televangelists are sects of they're parts of the devil. They're here only to profit and to cause pain, and to keep this perpetual cycle going of people being in pain and never being able to really find God or whatever. And still, I don't really believe in, I'm not religious, but this shit kind of changed me. So that's the idea of Cancer Christ is to try to spread this, this message that we don't have a lot of time. And I don't know when this shit's going to end, but I'm going to do everything that I can to get rid of and help people get rid of these false prophets.
Wow. That's intense. Yeah. So how long ago did this happen? Were you walking through the desert?
This happened before I moved to LA. My wife and I were going to St. George, and I went on one of my nighttime. Was it before? Oh, we must have been in LA. I can't quite remember, but that's neither here nor there. I was in Utah, and I like to go driving for hours and hours and hours. And I lost track of time and I ran out of gas like an idiot. And I ended up being way out, far away from where I needed to be, and walk back. And so I started walking back to get to a gas station. No one would pick me up. And that's when I started having these roadside trips.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Cancer Christ was born.
So who's in the group? It's just two people, right?
Right now, yeah, it's just me. I'm doing vocals, and I'm not the trippy thing is I wouldn't do this if I didn't have that fucking trippy ass experience, because I'm not a lyricist or any of that. It's just it popped into my mind hey, man, this could be a good way to spread this shit. And Tommy from the Makes, he does all the music. So okay. The way we wrote our first three songs is Tommy hey, I think this will be a good song. And he'd program the drums, do all the guitar parts, do all of it, and then send it to me. And then I'd sit in my garage, and I try to get back to that state. I try to not eat the whole day. And in the future, I'm probably going to do it even more. Not eat, not drink.
Wow.
I go in a dark space in the garage, and I start yelling, and whatever comes out, comes out. It's usually violent shit about how fucked up God and religion is. Even though I know that it's really people that are fucked up, and they take the word, and well, again, I'm still trying to change my ability to believe that the shit is real, because again, I like to think that it was probably just me tripping out. But I also hate televangelism, and I hate greedy people that take advantage of the worst people. It's a bullyment. I have always hated bullies, and religion is the biggest bully there is on the planet. And so if I can use this experience for positive shit and write fucked up music about shit that I hate, it's a win-win.
That fucking A, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
So has anything been released yet, or is it just the beginning stages?
No, we're going to release a music video coming up probably in the next week. We shot a music video with it. My friend Tommy, I'm like, hey, we got to do a photo shoot for the Neon Corpse Parade comp. And he goes, yeah, Neon Corpse Parade, we got to get a picture. Why don't we shoot a music video? And he does that the day before. I'm like, what? He didn't shoot a music video the day before? What the fuck? And he's all, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. Let's just do it. I'm all, I wanted to tell him to fuck off. It was actually 2 days before. So then I went and I'm all, okay, I know a location. I went and scouted that location. It wasn't going to work. The night before, I went to downtown LA because I told him this beach location isn't going to work. And it turned out that it was just 7th Street Bridge. It'll work. I'll bring the casket. We'll light it on fire. We'll shoot some blood out, and it'll be a good video. And it turned out to be a lot better than a one-day shoot should be.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we're going to release that. It's being colored right now. Next week sometime. We're looking for some outlets. I hit you up and you're all,
Does he do a lot of video editing?
Tommy doesn't. Tommy actually edited the video for this.
Okay.
But he doesn't do a lot of video editing, but this came out pretty good.
Yeah, he just seems like all around a dude that does.
He's a whiz.
He does many things.
Wizard,
he
dude.
like is an audio engineer, and because all of the visual, the Manx's visuals, like you're talking about some really pro quality looking stuff. Like and
before we move on, Tommy's not actually in the band. He's not a performer. He writes the songs, so he's not.
Oh,
he's not in the band per se.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah. So
he's just.
I just want to put that out.
He's just this weird, creative, mad genius guy.
He's like, I like this guy.
That's wild.
But anyways,
fucking A.
It's been pretty fun. We have 3 songs out, and it's been the same way. He'll write some shit, go, hey, I think you might like this. And actually, one of the songs he sent to me, and I'm like, I listened to it, 100, 200 times in my car, and I'm like, He's all, will you just write a song? Will you just write some lyrics to this and sing them? And I did, and the song turned out good. But it's a cool give and take, and I really like this. In quarantine, we're probably going to start getting together and writing stuff together. But in quarantine, it was a really awesome experience. He would give me a song. I'd spend a whole day listening to it, 200 times, sing shit. I'd see people on the street. I'd yell shit out the car, and then I'd come home and I'd fucking plug in these little mics into the thing, and I'd just yell at it in the garage for 4 or 5 hours, and then we'd have a song,
Yeah. Well, that's how it works. The repetition. I wrote a bunch of lyrics down, and I've just been repeating them over and over and over again to the point where it gets like ingrained in your brain, and then you can spit it in a way where you're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about remembering the lyrics. You're just thinking about executing.
Yeah, and I'm still pretty bad at that. Like, I feel like performing's not going to be hard for me, but remembering lyrics and like.
It's a muscle. Like, you got to build that muscle, man. But that's cool that you have that outlet. Especially during these tumultuous times, these unprecedented times. I'm
excited to really, I would really like to do some weird shit in preparing for writing, and deprivation type shit. I'm into that. I want to do that kind of shit for Cancer Christ. So I'm probably gonna, before I start writing, not eat for a couple days, not drink, sweat like a madman, start getting weird. I don't do drugs and I don't drink, but like I think there's going to be something important to kind of try to like reach this higher state of mind in writing dumb fuck God music. I will say I did this thing called the Master Cleanse back in 2016, and that's where you don't eat solid food for 10 days. And I would say day 4 or day 5, because all I was doing was drinking water and cayenne pepper and a little bit of maple syrup and lemon juice for fucking 10 days. And I did that. Yeah, 4 days into it, you're out of your fucking mind. That's Cancer Christ. Yes. At day 4 of Master Cleanse, you're probably Cancer Christin'. Because like I posted a selfie of me naked on the toilet. I was like spouting about, I had so much energy because I was like in survival mode. Like, because my body was eating itself, and I'm just like, and yeah, dude, that's the thing. If you deprive yourself, who needs drugs when you could just fucking deprive yourself of nutrients and you get into that fucking insanity state? It's a thing. Like, and that's interesting too, because you think about like Christian Bale and Heath Ledger and all these method actors that do these crazy like things to get in the mode of acting. Essentially, it seems like the same thing. Like, you're going to put Marlon Brando, the original, De Niro. Yeah, you're right. These guys, like, that's the shit. That's what they did, man. You're gonna put yourself in a wild mental state. I mean, people still do it. Like, David Lynch is a big transcendental meditation guy, which is Hinduism, which I just recently found out that it's like transcendental meditation is just Hinduism for Westerners. And I didn't know that. And that's what I'm coming to learn as I'm like looking into more religions and just, I don't like religion at all. I just feel it's a cool opportunity to do some aggressive shit and maybe have a little cause. But I really, really love iconography. I love occultism. I love ritual. When I see weird ritual, and I love the fact that so many people get tricked by the same shit.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that people just like can't figure it out. And I get it. In the 60s and 70s, right? You didn't have the internet or somebody to tell you any better. They're just like, oh, well, at least you're doing something with your life, you know? And then you're dead. And
next thing you know, you're like, yeah, you're hanging out with Charlie
Kool-Aid,
Manson.
fool.
Yeah, you're drinking Kool-Aid with Jim Jones. You're fucking wearing weird sneakers, talking to aliens and shit. It's like,
I feel like all the best cults never got that much publicity. You know, there's so many weird. There's this guy I just learned about, David Berg. He's not a good guy, but he was fucked up. And a lot of these religious people are pedophiles or sexual deviants, and they use religion to trick people into their their ultimate fantasies. This guy David Berg had this thing called flirty fishing, and I don't like to promote this fucking piece of shit pedophile.
Yeah, it sounds gross, but you can talk about it.
But people like that are the people you really got to watch out for. You know, the Jonestown should have woke people up, but there's people like this still today. In the day of the internet and mobile phones, there's still people in Jehovah's Witness, in Mormonism, in Christianity. And I get the community and I get wanting to figure out what happens, but you got to know if somebody's fucking with you and telling you bullshit that it's not real. You got to, I don't know.
I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, it would be nice if people could see beyond the fucking front. Yeah, and they were saying too, like L. Ron Hubbard would go on these weird cruises with a bunch of little boys and stuff. Like, yeah. It seems like most of these religious icons
are sexual, pedophiles,
are terrible,
and deviants.
Are terrible. They've done terrible fucking things and get away with it, or continue to do it. So yeah, like good on you to create some sort of a musical, I don't know if antidote is the right word, but you're going against it.
It's always been my favorite type of music, so that's
good.
Anything that's against it's weird because the way that the music came about was from what I think is a higher power.
That's wild.
We're gonna preach against it.
Well, I mean,
in a way, for it. It's just
they told you to. You're just following orders.
I mean, I could tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, you could.
But I don't know. It's too trippy. It's too trippy not to pursue it. And if I can have fun, and if there is a heaven and hell, which there's got to be. If there's a heaven, there's got to be a hell or some bad place. I think we're here. It'd be fun to be able to check them both out. It'd be fun to do that. And I think, I don't know. I like to see really pristine, beautiful waterfalls and birds. And, when I went to Maine, I got to see all the changing of the leaves. I love all that shit. I also love to see a fucking crackhead missing all her teeth. I like to see a car on fire and people jumping on top of it. I like to see a savage fight, and then I'm and then you get the empathy for the person. I like both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I mean,
and that weird in between.
Yeah, life is beautiful and it's ugly as fuck at the same time.
Yeah, and I like to see both sides.
Yeah,
not necessarily for me.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a fucked up time.
I would like to remain somewhere in the middle where I'm not getting lit on fire, but
I don't want to be lit on fire either.
Yeah, dude. But I think all that being said, man, I think we should wrap this up. We're about an hour and 40 in. I have to urinate real bad, and I promised my girlfriend I'd go on a bike ride.
What a loser.
I know, but
okay,
but dude,
before we go,
but dude, I appreciate you coming on, and B, I feel like I know you, like way better. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between you and I, and in things, and C, I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with next, because yeah, all in all, like between your photography and whatever else you're involved in creating, it's always exciting, and it's always interesting, and it's always very visual. So I'm ready. So
cool, man.
Say what you were gonna say, dude.
I just wanted to say that everybody, if this is probably the only part they'll watch, go to Sweatband Records and buy the Neon Corpse Parade, which has the first and debut track of Cancer Christ on wax. You can buy it, and 18 other bands. Go buy that Wacko split with Crime Wave. There's still a couple pre-orders left. And get, if anything, go get that new Melted Bodies debut. That album will fucking change maybe your life. I don't know. It's beautiful. And Sweatband Records, Instagram, it's at sweatbandrecords.com. And just go buy a fuckload of shit. I know that everybody's hurting for money, but just put it on a brand new credit card. Fuck it. Or if you got a girlfriend or boyfriend and they're being fucked up, just open a new one and support local music. Fuck it, right? So
I got links to all that, most of everything you sent me.
Appreciate it.
It's all in the YouTube video. So check it out below. Check out the links. Make sure you follow Anthony's Instagram. There's a lot of interesting stories and very cool photos always being posted. So support the dude, and support Sweatband Records, and support music. And any final anything, man.
And go listen to Despise You. That's the band. That's the fucking band. Cunts, Despise You. And that new, you gotta listen to that goddamn new ACXDC and the new Gulch. That shit the new Gulch will change your life. That's a fucking, and it only takes 15 minutes. The whole album is like 15 minutes.
The world is at your fingertips. It's the internet age.
And I love you. Thanks for having me on here.
I love you too, bro. And I appreciate it too, because I remember when I put out that Wacko episode, you were one of the first people to DM me and be like, I like this. This is cool. And it felt good because, I'm a transplant and I'm out here and I just want to make friends. I want to get involved. I want to be around other weirdos. So you were one of the first weirdos to be like, hey, what's up? And I like that. So thank you. Thank you for.
Well, when shit comes back, we were already talking about having you at some shows and playing shows with everybody. And I can't wait to get that back. No rapists in 2021. Rapists, you're not allowed. People that are fucking with women, if you're a xenophobe, if you're a fucking racist, stay away from our music scene, because it's going to get to the point where people aren't going to be nice and just tell you not to come. They're going to fucking break your face. So please, pedophiles, racists, sexual perverts that are trying to mess with women and men, xenophobes, all you people, stay away from the music scene. Listen to music the way you should in your dungeon. Don't come to our shows. We don't want you. But freaks and weirdos and loners and outcasts and people not sure of where they're going in life, we want all of you. That's it. Love you.
Well said. All right, cool. Well, on that note, I'm going to hit the button here. I have to drain my urethra.
Do it, bro.
But, dude, hey, thanks again, man. And I will be sending you files, links. So, yeah, I'll be sending you clips. But, dude,
last thing. Oh, Hurt Hawks.
Yeah.
Hurt Hawks. We might be signing a guy named Hurt Hawks. It's way different than the music that we usually put out. This guy is extremely original, and he's a one-man show. Hurt Hawks, look him up. He's a two-man show now, but it used to be a one-man show. But check out Hurt Hawks. It's unlike. It's just Hurt and then Hawks.
HOX?
HURT and then HAWKS. Hawks?
Hawks. Okay, so
Hawks.
It's not Hawks like ox. It's
Hawks, like the.
Okay, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And
I'll let you go now. I love you. Bye.
Hey, I love you too, bro. I'm gonna hit this button. Actually, you hit the red button, then I'm gonna say something in the camera real quick.
Okay.
Thanks, Anthony. Love you, dude. Well, there you have it. It was a SUPcast. And, you know, I was going into this thinking to myself, we're probably going to talk about a bunch of depressing shit. But it was weird. It was like I was almost talking to a person just like me, you know? And so I went into this whole experience. I was having a pretty bad morning. I had a bad day yesterday. But I feel better about things now because I got an outpouring of nice comments on my little depression rant. A. And B, I just talked to a human being that it's like the more human beings you talk to, the more you realize you're not alone. And there are people like you out there. So find those people. Stick together. Take care of yourself and take care of the people you love. And let's all hug and kiss, you know, in a moist manner. Wet ass P word. My name is Neil Patterson. I'm a guy. This has been SUPcast number 49. If you watched this and if you donated and if you are just, thank you for just existing. You know, I'm having a decent time. I'm going to go for a bike ride with my girlfriend. I'm going to urinate. It's going to be great. And yeah, we're going to try and have a better day today. Let's try and have a better day today. And then maybe tomorrow will be even more better. Who knows? Stick with it. Stay positive. Stay negative. It's all valid. You're valid. I'm valid. Maybe I gotta go.